As we come into the winter months living that van life, staying warm is much more of a big concern. And I have a heater, but in case it breaks, in case it doesn't work, I want to back up and I want to explore other methods. So today, I've been seeing heated blankets all over social media, and we're going to see if it really works. It should be a good test because I'm in Tahoe and it is getting well below freezing tonight. I think the little bit bigger one is going to be better. All right. Can you check?
There you go.
Great, thank you. Now, there's one thing I've learned with van life, it's to actually test anything you buy that has electronics in it. Sometimes you'll buy something expecting to use it in the mountains, drive hours into the mountains, and then you'll get there and be like, oh my God, it's defective, it's a faulty product or anything. You don't think will happen to you, but it's happened to me twice, which is incredibly annoying. And sometimes it takes you a while to actually use what you bought, and then by the time you realize it doesn't work, you go to the same store, but like in a different state, and they're like, where did you buy this? And I'm like, oh, you know, 2 states over. So yeah, here is the heated blanket. It was 50 bucks, which is awesome. These things have really come down in price. So it looks like we just got one cable that actually plugs into the blanket. Got our little controller here. Ah, you turn it and just set whatever heat you want. It's a lot of settings. Like, yeah, I'm not feeling a 10 right now. I'm really feeling an 11. Sweet, let's plug it in. Open up my battery right here. Turn on my AC power right there, which is like the house level power. Because of course it's just like a normal plug. You always see all my lights turn on with that too. Power strip. Look at that, that's kind of cool. All right, turn it all the way up, see if it gets warm. It's supposed to be like a really efficient way to heat yourself whenever it's cold outside, so I do want to check how much power it's drawing. Okay, it says about 100 watts. My battery can run it for just around 19 hours, so that's not too bad. That's on the highest setting too, which I don't think I'll need. It depends on how cold it gets tonight. I think it's gonna get into like the 20s. Oh yeah, that's already nice and toasty in there. Ooh. And now that we know it works, while we're still in the actual parking lot of the store that I bought it in, we can head into the mountains, hit some snow camping, baby. No, ma'am. Thank you, too. Thank you. Oh shit. Oh, I might turn back right now. I don't know if you guys can see it, but there's a bear all the way up there. Ooh, that's pretty scary. Oh, there's a bunch of them. Oh wow. Alright, I'm turning back. Now times I've heard a stick break while I'm on a hike like this in the middle of nowhere alone. And I've looked and be like, oh my God, is that a bear? And it's just never been a bear. I heard a stick break and it was a freaking bear, a whole family. All right, so there is an amazing fire lookout up there. I'll probably send the drone and still get some footage. But those guys started walking back towards the van, and of course the van has a bunch of food in it and a bunch of food smells, and I was only going to be gone from it for like 30 minutes, so I wasn't too worried. But they're headed towards the van, so I'm gonna go back to the van, make sure it's all safe, and that, you know, make sure they don't try to get into it and get some food, and then maybe still send the drone up and get some awesome footage. Look at that, the freaking first time I've ever seen bears out in the wild like that. And it's not as scary as I thought it would be. They looked pretty mellow, looked like they're just a little on a jaunt through the woods, but they were also probably about 100 yards away from me. If they were like right there, closer to me, I would have been pretty freaked out. I am still a little freaked out. All right, back to the van. Oh, you beautiful, safe van. pretty. I was planning on staying here tonight, just camping out here and waking up with this beautiful view, but hopefully it's understandable why I no longer want to do that. Look at that sunset. So pretty. I don't get to do this very often because they're too bright, but ta-da! So I stopped on the trail right before the trail meets the main road. So I'm still not near anyone because there's no one else out here. So I can use my actual bright lights in here. Usually I'm at least somewhat stealth camping and there's people around. So if I turn this on, it just becomes like a showcase for me talking to a camera inside of a van. But in the middle of nowhere, it's pretty nice. I love these lights. I don't get to use them very much. Time for a little food-a-roonski. I was planning on cooking tonight, but to be totally honest, I don't really want to. I was already kind of feeling the fact that I might not want to, so I picked up some grocery store sushi, which if you watched my last video, some of the best grocery store sushi I've ever had here in Tahoe. It's crazy. So freaking good. I went to one of the actual sushi places in Tahoe not too long ago. This is better. Oh yeah. Alright, I'm gonna put some calories down, and then I still gotta decide where I want to camp. I don't know if I want to camp on the side of the trail here, right next to where it meets the road, or if I want to go into town, like kind of stealth camp. Either one is going to be equally as cold. It's actually going to get below 20 degrees tonight, so pretty freaking freezing. I just got done eating and editing for a couple hours. Time to set this bed up and see what this heated blanket can do. So my idea here, since it is going to get legitimately cold tonight, it's already below freezing, 31 degrees, is to put this heated blanket down under my comforter and everything else so that the comforter will kind of keep in the heat of the heated blanket, as opposed to just having the heated blanket on me or having the heated blanket over the comforter. So I'm going to put that down there, and then I'm going to bring my big old comforter on over it. We got the heated blanket under, comforter on top, and here's the controller. Now I'm going to plug it in to my secondary battery station here and turn it on. There we go, she's on. Let's do a nice 8 right there. I don't know what this means. There's a lot of options, but 8 seems like a good number. And 8 seems to be drawing just about 76 watts, which can run on this battery for 5.1 hours. But a huge reason these heated blankets are becoming popular is because they don't draw power the whole time. Once they get up to temperature, they actually turn off until it gets down to a certain temperature and then they turn back on. So whenever you're setting the dial on the blanket, I believe you're just setting that temperature that it turns on and off at. It's kind of cool. And the reason I'm running it off this secondary backup battery here is because my main battery has a bunch of stuff drawing power from it. So I'm going to run just the heated blanket off of this battery so I can see how much of the battery it actually drains overnight with this 500 watt hour battery. So if you guys want to do something similar to this, you can see how much power it would draw from however big a battery that you have. Of course, there's a bunch of different variables, but this will give us a good idea of how much power this heated blanket actually pulls. Because like I said, it's drawing 80 watts right now, but it's not going to do that for a lot of the night. And let's say we wake up in the morning, we drop 10% on this battery. If you have a 1000 watt hour battery compared to this 500 watt hour battery, you'd be like, oh, it's only going to drop 5% over the course of the night, given the same variables. So yeah, she's going. See if it's warm yet. Yeah, it is already, it's already pretty toasty in there. I think the comforter on top of the heated blanket is going to make it pretty freaking sweet. Oh yeah, it's toasty in there. Wow, that's actually pretty impressive. Doesn't this just look super freaking cozy? Yeah, immediately I can feel how like warm it is under here. It's actually like really nice. I get why people use these in their homes, but I might turn it down actually. It's kind of a little too warm for me. I like to sleep cold, not below freezing cold, but I don't want to wake up sweating. All right, we're on a solid 6 right there. All right, we're fully committing. I'm turning off my diesel heater. Freaking hope this thing works. The diesel heater is what's been keeping the van warm all day and what I usually use to keep the van warm, but that thing was like 150 bucks. Sometimes doesn't like to work, so it would be really nice to have a backup solution like this that I could just run off my battery if the diesel heater decides not to work on a freezing night. Yeah, I'm gonna head off to bed. Update you guys if I wake up sweating or way too cold or what. This is actually getting like almost too warm. It's on 6 right now. Only drawing 60 watts. So yeah, keep you guys updated. Good night. outside last night to see how cold it got. Oh yeah, it's just mainly frozen. A bunch of slush in there. All right, so let's see. My battery has 20% after the night, which is kind of a lot of power use, especially because I turned the heated blanket all the way down to 2. Actually, it was getting way too warm under the cover. I actually also moved the heated blanket on top of the comforter. One, because that like microfiber texture kind of makes me sweat a little bit. It's a little bit uncomfortable, but it was too hot. Even on like 2, I was like, I'm getting way too warm right now. I'm just gonna put it on top of the comforter. But for the rest of the night, it was really freaking toasty. So I don't think I'd recommend it for like full-time van use, but for like a weekend trip for your average camper going out on the weekends for 2 days, you have a relatively large battery. It could be a pretty nice way to warm yourself up as the weather gets much colder. But for full-time van life, one of the biggest commodities in van life is electricity. You can buy more water, you can buy more food, but you can't really buy more electricity. You have to generate it yourself by either driving or using the solar. And whenever it's cold outside, the sun's lower in the sky during the wintertime, and it's really hard to generate solar. So really conserving battery has been one of my biggest concerns as we go into the winter. I've been having to drive a lot more and conserve it a lot more. That's why I love my diesel heater, because really the only thing you're running is a fan. The diesel itself is the energy source. That's where you get all your heat, and it doesn't need anything else. It just throws the diesel into the combustion chamber, burns it up, makes a ton of heat, and you just have to have a fan on that draws like 5 to 20 watts depending on the setting on how high it is. And I've been keeping that diesel heater on 24/7 going into the winter, and it doesn't really make a big effect on my battery. Either way, it will be a nice backup to have in the van in case the diesel heater fails and you need to replace something. You know, it is a little tiny engine essentially, so it can have problems. And no way I can just plug in the electric blanket into my giant battery bank and have heat for at least one night. Is really, really nice actually. But you won't find me using it every single night. I do recommend, I tested out a heating pad a while ago that was just USB, and it used a lot less power. It only drawed like 10 to 15 watts depending on what setting you were on, and this battery would run that thing all night and only drop by like 10% in the morning. So I'll leave a link to both of them down below. You guys can decide what you want if you want to pick one up, because the blanket did work surprisingly well. If I had turned it up, I could easily go way below 19 degrees, which is what it got to last night. Oh, look at that view. It is just so freaking pretty out here, all the snow, just being out in nature. Anyways, I'm getting back on the road. I'm gonna head back home for Christmas, spend it with my mom, and then get on the road for more and more adventures after that. So thank you guys very much for watching. Subscribe, like, comment, all the good stuff, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.